Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Mount Union Football Huddle. I'm Mike Brown, Review Sports Editor, joined by our outstanding, and I do mean outstanding, Mount Union beat writer, Jeff Zupanik. Jeff, welcome aboard.
Thanks, Mike.
Before we get to Mount Union's playoff game this weekend, Jeff, let's talk about the regular season because really, Mount's coming off the Stag Bowl championship. They lost some guys, some key guys, especially at the quarterback position, and I think they rebounded very impressively this year.
Yeah, I would consider their regular season a success. I really would. I mean, they had 10 senior starters on defense last year, and all those guys that started anywhere from 40 to 60 games. So that was a lot of experience. And you mentioned the quarterback, even though he was a first-year guy last year, Therese Scott, he was still a four-year guy in the program. And, I mean, so you're talking replacing your whole defense and the most important position on offense. And they were 3 points away from an undefeated regular season again. So, I mean, I'm sure, the loss is disappointing when you look at it right after the game. But I'm sure the coaches focus on it. You know what? We're 9-1. Yeah. We have a chance to, make some noise right now, and we're thankful for the opportunity.
Right, and as only Mount can do, especially with Larry Karras, who's the guru of finding great quarterbacks, not only did Mount find one great freshman quarterback, they found three.
Yeah, I mean, they're top 5 on their depth chart this year are all freshmen.
That's
so
amazing.
There's another guy, that they just it was the competition. I think was so close that maybe one guy was a quarter of an inch ahead of the other, and then that guy was a quarter of an inch that they just went. And then I think they had settled on Fulford in week 5, and then he got hurt. Then Dom Davis goes in and he just goes on a tear. I mean, he's thrown over 200 yards in every game, and he's done everything you can ask for. And I think the offense kind of generated some momentum when he got out there. They looked like they started stretching the field a little bit more and hit some of the bigger plays, and that could have been a byproduct of where they were in the season with maybe some of the play calling, but also he was able to put the ball where it needed to be.
Right, sure. Well, I'll tell you what, let's turn the clock ahead to this week. We begin playoff action this weekend. Mount will be a road team, kind of strange there, but Mount Union has a little bit of a history with Hobart in the playoffs, do they not?
Yeah, they played in 2008 in I believe it was the second round, and the game was here at Mount Union.
Right.
The score was 42-7, but if I remember, it was about 28-7 going into the fourth quarter, and that was a pretty good Mount Union team in 12. They won the national title, much like last year's team, very loaded with seniors.
Right.
But Hobart, I mean, they are a good program that in the Liberty League that perennially they win, 8, 9, 10. I think 3 of the last 5 years, they've won at least 11 games. So they're a team that, they usually have a lot of success lately.
What do you hear about Hobart, Jeff? Do they have a 50-50 run-pass ratio?
They're very contrast to what they were. In 2008, they were smash-mouth football team, which I think they got behind in that game, and that made it hard to come back. They're a spread team now with a very experienced junior quarterback, and they have a wide receiver that's probably the second best Mount Union will have seen this year behind the North Carolina Wesleyan. He's going to be an All-American. Their quarterback has 33 touchdowns. Wow. This wide receiver has 1,100 yards and 17 TDs. So they have that. They've kind of changed their offensive dynamic to just like kind of spreading it out a little bit more this year.
Sure. So do you know what Mount's itinerary, being that we're going to be a road playoff team, that's so strange to say, but
it is.
Are they departing on Thursday or Friday, Jeff?
They are going to be leaving Friday. They have a practice scheduled around Hobart for Friday afternoon, and they're trying to work out the logistics of that because they're also Hobart is hosting the field hockey Final Four, so thankfully they have enough facilities, but the team won't be staying. They'll be staying about 25 minutes away from where they're playing because of all the other travel that's been made by this Final Four. So that the plan, they're going to have practices every day. And interesting story is after the game, they didn't know their fate, whether or not they were going to get an at-large berth.
Sure.
Coach Karras was going to give them Sunday off. Then the team captain said no. They said, we want to do everything like we normally. We're going to come in for treatment. We want the film session. And he wasn't going to do anything till 6:30 till they knew for sure. But the captain came in and said, no, we want to do the weightlifting film session and everything. So they're treating it. They wanted to stay in that routine that they do every week. I mean, whether they're playing Hobart or Wilmington or North Carolina Wesleyan, they do that same routine. And that's what they wanted to do. And I think that really kind of sent a message to Coach Karras that, you know what, that, they're united right now. They want to get back out there and, get this season going back to where at least they feel it should.
Right, and I feel that's been a key for Mount all along. All these years of success for decades has been their preparation. It's second to none. I mean, they cross all the T's and they dot all the I's. They really do. They do a great job with that.
Yeah, I agree. I often told people if you watched one of their practices, that's probably more telling than their games are because their practices are so intense because they're going to run into teams that they're just better than. And Saturday, they make it look easy, but the practice is, those guys that come into the second unit, they want to be the starters. So they're pushing this. I mean, their competition is just fierce for practices. And they have what former Larry Karras used to call was controlled chaos. That he said he never wanted a perfect practice. He said when he had a perfect practice, he got worried because you never have a perfect game.
Right.
So he kind of would throw in chaos. He said sometimes he would run behind the line or running back and just hit the ball out and say fumble just to see how they react because you don't know. Just that's what you have to do.
Yes.
And they film every practice. They watch film on their practices. I mean, they, like you said, every T is crossed, every I. I mean, it's. And those attention to details is what put them in the position every Saturday to win those games. Along with obviously having the talent is important, but they're so prepared that usually a team isn't going to outcoach them on the field because they know what to expect. Now you might be outplayed sometimes, you might get out executed, which everybody, but outcoached, I mean, it's few and far between when that happens with them.
It's a fantastic system. It really is.
It is.
I mean, if there's a better one, I like to know where it's at. I really do. Well, Jeff, one last thing. Turning to this week's game again, the playoff game at Hobart, what do you see as the keys to winning for Mount Union?
Obviously, I would say that the turnovers are the big, but I think that can probably go across the board with any team. And I would say if they don't fall behind, they haven't allowed on the first drive all year, they haven't given up any points, and I think that's been good for the young team to just kind of settle into the game, and I think how quickly they can adjust to what Hobart's speed is and vice versa. But I would think getting an early lead, even 7-0, just to kind of get that confidence back coming off the loss, and then obviously don't turn the ball over, which, as I said, that goes for any team, but their last 8 losses, they've had at least 3 turnovers in every one of those losses, and they were -4 against John Carroll, and one of them is, a fumble that leads directly to a touchdown, and then 2 of the other ones came inside the John Carroll 10, so you're talking, that's 21-point swing in that game. That's how close that game was to being a 14-point game as opposed to, what it was, a 3-point. And that's the way football, it's a game of inches. It really is.
Yes,
so
it is.
I would say those two because I think Mount probably matches up better in the line, both sides of the line, and then the quarterback, there'll be some inexperience with a junior versus a freshman, but they have enough experience at certain positions to kind of offset that. But I would say with the inexperience, it's just getting that experience of a playoff game out there and not having to kind of panic. So to get that experience, if you fall behind 14-0, are you going to start thinking about John Carroll again and making mistakes? So I think they just come out, play the way they're capable of. I think they have a very good chance to win the game.
And I totally agree with that. Well, I think that'll do it for this week's edition of the Mount Union Huddle. Until next week, for Jeff Supanik, this is Mike Brown. We'll see you on the gridiron.